Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Today is part 2 in the Project 2025 series. Now, what we're going to focus on today is some parts of the Health and Human Services Department and their goals within Project 2025 and what it means for average Americans. Now, this will touch on abortion and even some LGBTQ rights topics. But this isn't all of it. This is just part that I noticed when I was reading through this morning that I wanted to focus on today. This comes from page 489 of Project 2025, or A Mandate for Leadership. So let's get to it. Now, I don't know if you can see this very well. I'm having a hard time making it big enough on the screen for anything, but we're going to start here at the life agenda. And then I'll read part of this, and then I'll explain what I see is the problem here. The life agenda. The Office of the Secretary which is of Health and Human Services, should eliminate the Health and Human Services Reproductive Health Access Task Force and install it with a pro-life task force to ensure that all departments and divisions seek to use their authority to promote life and health of women and their unborn children. Now, you get to this point, you're like, okay, that doesn't seem terrible, right? Of course, we want to promote women's health. And of course, we want children to be born that women are trying to have. We want them to be healthy. That's just logic, right? But then it goes on to here. Additionally, HHS should return to being known as the Department of Life by explicitly rejecting the notion that abortion is health care, and by restoring its mission statement under the strategic plan and elsewhere to include the furthering of health and well-being of Americans from conception to death. Now, you see how it starts off sounding okay, and then it goes on to laying the groundwork to banning abortion federally by saying it's not a form of health care. But as we have seen over the last few years since Roe's been gone and the states have been shutting down women's rights to an abortion, women have becoming gravely ill from miscarriages and things like that they cannot get surgeries for. They can't get abortions for. I read a story about a woman down in Texas who had an ectopic pregnancy. The only solution for that is an abortion. There's no surviving that. Not for the fetus, not for the woman. No abortion in an ectopic pregnancy in most cases leads to death. This would ban that. That's exactly what they're claiming here, right? I don't think it's that hard to understand. I don't even really think I need to be explaining it to anybody that watches my channel, but for those people out there that may not understand, they literally state right here, explicitly reject the notion that abortion is health care and restoring its mission to the strategic plan to further the well-being of all Americans from conception to natural death. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. But the fact is, it would ban abortion federally. That would be their goal. And it's right there in black and white. So you can have Trump sitting out there saying, oh, I don't support a federal ban, and J.D. Vance acting like a weirdo out there saying he doesn't support a federal ban either. But it's right here in Project 2025 where the next paragraph goes on to discuss Donald Trump in great detail on things he did in his previous administration. Now, I may be a little young, but I do not remember a time when Health and Human Services was known as the Department of Life. Maybe that came before me. I don't know. But the fact is, abortion is health care. Women sometimes need abortions. It's like a physical need that has to happen or they will die. I remember the story of former politician Rick Santorum, who was adamantly against abortions unless it was for his wife. See, his wife had a miscarriage. And if she carried the fetus to term, she would have died. Because the fetus would have gone septic, and she would have gone septic and died. He talked about that on the campaign trail when he was running back in, I think it was 2012. About how his wife almost died and abortion was the only thing that saved her. Those are the things they're trying to take away from women. All in the guise of trying to eliminate, abortion. They think it's some kind of like being used as birth control. And it's not. Something like an abortion is only something that can be, it's got to be heart-wrenching to make that decision. It's not a decision I would ever want to make or I would ever force someone to make. People aren't just out there willy-nilly getting abortions. The problem as well with this is there are a lot of people on the far right that consider birth control a form of abortion. This also would lead to the possibility of banning any kind of birth control for women. So let's be clear. This is not about ending abortions. This is about controlling women and their bodily autonomy and their rights. That's what this is all about. It's no different than what the Nazis did with their great plan to, rule the world with their Aryan race, as some people like to refer to it as. Right? There's no difference. This is some of the same shit that was going on in Nazi Germany, and they're wanting to bring it to our shores. They're wanting to bring that hateful ideology to the American public. And I have a grandfather I never met, who, if I recall, fought in World War II. Now, I believe he was in the Pacific. I don't think he ever was in Germany. But I do believe he was in the Pacific, I believe. And he fought that war against fascism. And so did millions of other Americans. Fought or supported our military in the fight against the scourge of fascism and Nazism. And I'd be damned if we're going to let that happen in this country. Now, we're going to go down here to the next part, the family agenda. The Secretary's administration or anti-discrimination policy statements should never conflate sex with gender identity or sexual orientation. Rather, the Secretary should proudly state that men and women are biological realities that are crucial to the advancement of life sciences and medical care, that are married men and women are the ideal natural family structure, because all children have a right to be raised by the men and women who conceived them. Now, what that's doing, right, it's very clear. They basically want to erase the trans community. That is their goal, at least at the start of that, right? That's what they're talking about, that that men and women are biological realities. And that's basically just trans erasure. That's all that is. And claiming that children can only be happy, is what they're claiming there, can only be well-adjusted, good people if they're raised by a man and a woman. But you know what? That's not the case. That kind of slaps in the face of the scientific and psychological reality. I've seen many studies that show that children are better off with two loving parents, regardless of gender, regardless of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. Why? Because it's hard for one person to take care of all the needs of a child. So would it be ideal for children to be raised by the parents that conceived them? Yes. Is that always an option? No. I am a result of adoption. I was adopted when I was 6 years old. I was not raised by the man or the woman that helped conceive me. But I think I turned out pretty well adjusted. I mean, by the time that my mom and dad divorced, we found out that my dad was gay. And it didn't really affect me in any way, shape, or form. Because I already knew about me before I knew about him. That said, I believe any family, any two people, man, woman, woman, that have a child and raise them to the best of their ability, gives that child the best chance of being a well-adjusted, functioning member of society. I don't understand anybody that believes otherwise. Because I have seen studies over and over again showing that it's just a matter of having two loving parents that can really help a child. But that also doesn't mean a single mother or a single father can't give a child the love they deserve and take care of their needs that they deserve to have taken care of. It's definitely harder. I remember going from 13 years old on, watching my mom struggle to make sure that my brother and I had at least the basics that we needed: water, shelter, electricity, food. Did we always have the newest clothes? No. Did we always have the newest toys or newest gadgets? No. But did my mom bust her ass as a single mother to take care of me? Yes. And most single parents do that. Like, as much problems as I have with my own brother, the one thing I do know is he at least tried his best after he and his wife split to make sure his daughters had the best life possible. So I know how hard it can be to be a parent. Be a single parent. I've seen it multiple times in my life. It's one of many reasons I didn't want to be a parent. In part because I knew how hard it was, and I didn't want to screw up. But also, the obvious, being disabled, my wife didn't really need another person to take care of. But that's for a different video. Okay, so that takes us to what we'll discuss at another point in the series. But you see what they're trying to do here. At least they're trying to, basically, they want to ban adoption to people that aren't men and women. They want to erase the existence of the trans community in this country. And they want to ban abortion federally. It's very clear, stated right there on page 489 of Project 2025. If you don't believe me, you can go look it up and download the PDF yourself. But this is part of what they want to do. We will continue with Health and Human Services. I'll probably look into more of what they see as the proper family unit. And we will proceed from there. Now, this isn't going to be in any particular order, this series. We're going to be doing different bits and pieces that I see to be the most problematic moving forward in this country. And that right there is the start of this series. Anyways, I hope you have learned something here. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments or hit me up at thebigrantshow@gmail.com. Anyways, I'll see you down the road.